My name is Kim. I'm an artist, and my goal is to help people learn how to paint in a fun and approachable way. Today we're going to paint a simple wreath that absolutely anyone can create in just a handful of simple steps. Let's get started. To start, I'm going to fold my watercolor paper in half to make it into a card. If you don't have watercolor paper, feel free to use any thicker paper or cardstock you have lying around. Next, I'm going to use a small circular shape I have lying around so that I can lightly trace it so it'll give me a guideline for when I go to paint my wreath. Now that we have our guideline, I'm going to go in with a medium-sized pointed brush, and I'm going to use dark green, and I'm going to start tracing out our wreath. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some leaves here and there, but I'm going to be mindful not to fill in the entire wreath because we want to add other colors here and there and also create some branches in the background. Once that's finished, I'm going to go in with my regular green and I'm going to start filling in some of the gaps where I didn't paint any of the dark green. So I'm repeating the same process again, and I'm just going to create a little bit more dimension to the wreath. So here too, I'm going to try to be more mindful of my shape. So anywhere I want more leaves sticking out or I want to create a little bit more of an irregular shape, I'm going to go in and add some extra leaves there as well. Okay, and as a last step to build up our wreath, I'm just going to mix some white and some green together so I can create a light green color. And I'm going to use this as my final color of leaf, and I'm just going to go in and fill in even more of those gaps between the leaves, as well as overlap some of the leaves as well, just because you want to give this wreath more of a 3D shape. So I'm going to add those in, and then our wreath base will be finished. Alright, so you're doing great. We're already on to the details. So I'm going to take a very small thin brush here. Any small brush you have is perfect. And I'm going to dip it into the dark brown, and then I'm going to start adding some twigs in between the leaves. So what I want to suggest here is that there's a wreath behind these leaves, and we're just going to have a little bit peeking through. So once that's finished, just as I did with the leaves, to add some extra interest, I'm going to also add some branches peeking out here and there. So anywhere that there looks like there's a little bit of gap or I want to adjust the shape of the wreath, I'm going to go ahead and add a few branches sticking out as well with that same brown color. Okay, and I'm going to repeat almost that same process now with the dark green. So I'm using that same thin, small brush, and I want to suggest that there's some pine needles sticking out from our wreath as well. So I'm going to go ahead and add those in anywhere that I feel like there's a little bit of a gap in my wreath. Okay, next step is to add some berries in. So to add some contrasting color will really help our wreath pop. And so I'm just going to use that same brush, or you can even use the back of the brush, which will give you that perfect circular shape. And I'm just going to dot in some berries here and there on the wreath and also just off the wreath, just to add that extra pop of color. Okay, and this is the last step, but I'm going to repeat that exact same step, but just use white. I just really like the way this looks with the little white berries as well. I think it adds a little bit more contrast between the darkest green especially and that white. But of course, like every other step in this wreath, it's optional. Everything is custom to the wreath you'd like to make. Okay, and now on to the final optional step. I've decided that I'm going to add a monogram to the center of my card, and so I'm going to sketch it out very, very lightly and then paint it in with gold paint. But of course, feel free to add any name here, use any type of font you'd like, and any medium as well to fill it in. So I'm using gold paint, but markers would also be a fantastic choice here as well. So one thing I would suggest here, if you decide to also go the painted monogram route like I did, is just make sure that you outline your letter before you start filling it in, just because it'll make it easier to control the paint so it doesn't go outside the lines you traced. And with those final touches, we're finished. If you had fun painting this wreath together, then I think you're going to love this next art tutorial I have for you on how to paint a Christmas tree. So click to watch, and I'll see you there.